First, a quick music clip just to kind of showcase the audio quality of the Sound Blaster Roar 2. Go ahead and hit the play. It's currently paired up with my Samsung S6. Gorgeous, simply gorgeous. Oh man, that is actually on the Terra base mode. There's 3 modes, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, let's look at the actual setup on the side. We have the wall wart. This is a 15-volt input, and it comes with a rather long cord. There it is, plugged into a USB power hub. Now, I do have to note that even though you can charge this up by a 5-volt USB source, it is recommended that you use the included wall wart not only to charge up the internal 6000 mAh battery at a much faster pace, but also for what's known as Roar, which we'll get to in a moment. The Roar, though, basically takes the entire spectrum and just cranks it up to party levels. Yes, holy smokes! Loud. So it is required to use this because simply the internal 6000 mAh battery cannot keep up with the power demands of Roar. Now, next to that is Auxilary 3.5 plug-in to use this as a wired speakers. There are no other plug-ins or anything like that, no optical or have you. It is Auxilary. They also have a USB port. Now, this USB port is for charging out. It is 5 volt, 1 amp. It is limited to 1 amp, and if you use it while it's unplugged, it will charge off the internal battery. However, while it's plugged in, it does pass through the charge. I'll just plug this USB plug right in there, and boom, this is a little mobile hotspot. It passes the charge in through directly. In fact, that's something I'd like to highlight. I have measured the output of this, and once again, it is a 1 amp output max, but it's also kind of a slow charge. It really is not all that suitable for actually charging devices at an optimum speed. However, as a USB power source for USB items and devices that are always powered by USB, and I'm talking about little fans, or like in this case a mobile hotspot, so, things like that, very suitable indeed. Most USB power devices really are never going to get above maybe 0.6 amps. And I'm talking about big, large USB powered fans. The smaller things like little aroma diffusers or hotspots generally will only need maybe 0.46 or less. So it is very suitable for constantly powering USB devices. Now, next to that, of course, is the micro USB port. You can also use that to connect to your PC or Macintosh. I did briefly connect it to my Windows 8.1 machine with no problems, actually. There's included drivers. They work just fine with my Windows Acer. However, I do need to point out, as the time of shooting this video, Windows 10 is right around the corner. I'm one of those signed up for the first release. Yes, I know, I'm a sucker for punishment. So it's inevitable that Microsoft is going to break all kinds of compatibility of software and hardware with the release of Windows 10. So we'll have to see how this works out when that's released. And I'll do an update when it does happen. I'll try it out. But let's not get our hopes up. The track record is too long and too poor when it comes to OS updates. Anywho, next to the bit here is the micro SD card. Now, this can record voice. It actually has a recording function right there, right above it. Now, the actual recording, though, is, well, it's only wave. It does not record an MP3. It's only wave files, and it's actually kind of a low quality recording compression. It really is. It's only suitable for voice recording. It really is. It sounds great for voice, like dictation, or if you're connected up to your smartphone and you want to record a business conference call, it works fine for that. But for actual music audio, not so much. Furthermore, if you want to record voice, they recommends in the manual to use a Class 4 micro SD card. A Class 4, not a Class 10. So be aware of that if you are interested in using the recording function. So there is that. But on the flip side, for MP3 playing, oh man, I have to give extra kudos to Creative for doing this. It's a small thing, but something I'm quite excited about. Right there. It's an actual simple shuffle or repeat function. Love it. The reason I'm so excited about that is because I have actual built-to-purpose MP3 players, little MP3 players that either don't have a shuffle function whatsoever, or if it does, it's like a real pain to get to. It's always made me scratch my head. It's like, why can't MP3 players have a simple, easy shuffle function? At least none of the ones I have. This one does. Excellent. Now above that is the track controls, not volume. And those track controls are only for MP3 playing. Make note of that because on the top here is your volume control right there. But when you're in Bluetooth mode, playing music remotely via Bluetooth, there are no track controls. These control volume only. And that is a bit odd. Not completely unheard of, but odd. However, in my case, it's a total moot point because I don't skip tracks. If I wanted to skip a track, it wouldn't be on my playlist in the first place. But take note, there is no track controls when you're playing via Bluetooth. And now above that is the Roar/Terra Bass button. It also does off. Now currently it's on Terra Bass. Terra Bass is where it's at. Love it, love it, love it. Works across the spectrum for everything. Love it. Now when you push the button, that goes into
drop on.
Roar, and it turns white, so it gives you that indication right off the bat. And that's, like I said, just basically cranks you up, going to massive volume levels. And then you turn it again,
off,
and it goes off. Frankly, off sounds great. Off sounds fantastic. Off is nice and balanced, but I gotta say that Terra Bass
on
just works for everything. It really does, at least for all my music tastes, and I got some pretty eclectic tastes. But there it is. Above that is the switch between USB auto and mass storage. Now on the top here, well, top or side, depending on which orientation you have it, this will give you a directed, much louder volume, whereas putting it on the side, which is this orientation I prefer, really fills the room. Really fills the room. The whole room, possibly most of the house. It gets incredibly loud, even on Terra Bass. Yes, NFC pairing right there. Here is your little LED lights. I gotta tell you, even though the actual quality of recordings are kind of meh, using this as a speakerphone is fantastic, and that is actually my setup. This is paired up also with my Samsung S6, but also my PC via Bluetooth. So it's normally defaulted to Bluetooth off my PC's audio, but when my phone rings from halfway across the house, I can simply switch over to it and use it as a speakerphone. And the quality of the speakerphone is fantastic. All in all, I have to say, I am tickled pink that to see such a familiar name as such a Sound Blaster to come into the Bluetooth speaker market. I can't tell you just how much that just makes me laugh with happiness. And I've had some expectations, nostalgic driven expectations. We all know what nostalgia leads us, disappointment. Not so here. This has really fulfilled every single expectation that I had when I first saw that Sound Blaster had a Roar 2 Bluetooth enabled speaker. Wow. Wow. Alright, you guys have yourself a great one.